that everybody now is going on about jury trials. The press, the media, everyone online, and David Lammy's taking all the flack for it. So not Rachel Reeves, not the Prime Minister. He's taking the flack for it. This is called distraction techniques. We should always be looking ahead of the worst possible government that can get in, and what can they do with the powers that we've now given them. That's the government I'm worried about. That's what we always should be thinking about.
Well, joining me now to talk about this is a man who's always just in his views and forthright. It's Nick Buckley, MBE. Does MBE mean that you're some sort of a magistrate?
It means I was given a special mission by the late Queen of England to protect this nation. I'm not allowed to go into the details of that and exactly what she said to me, but it's basically that.
Now that's much more intriguing than I expected. I want to do the whole show on that. And also, I want to ask you the question, is that really scary mask right behind you, one that you have to wear when you're conducting the late Queen's business? Where's that from?
The masks, those two behind me, from South Africa, from Soweto.
Okay, what's justice like over there?
There is no justice in South Africa. South Africa is a really good example of where the West is going if we don't stop what we're doing. It was a first world country 30, 40 years ago. It's now on the edge of being a failed state. It's a third world country at the moment, but it's on the edge of being a failed state, all because a communist government took over that had no idea what it was doing, that wanted reparations, that wanted, they came up with a phrase, it's our time to eat now. And they basically destroyed the country. Nothing works in South Africa. And that it's something we need to be looking at because it's happening here. Please excuse this interruption. Anglophobia. Why do they hate us? Is it jealousy, envy?
Well, that's really what I want to talk to you about. You may remember the name of one of the greatest justices ever to grace our legal system. Why are you laughing? David Lammy. Look how self-satisfied he looks. And that's how I'd put it anyway. A man who did such a great job as foreign minister, though I don't detect he did any job at all there, that he got to be deputy prime minister and minister for justice. I'm sure you know, I'm sure most of our viewers know, that this gentleman wants to abolish jury trials for a very large proportion of trials. Now, as I understand it, Nick, a jury trial, which means that 12 people chosen pretty much at random from the population get to judge if you're innocent or guilty. That has been a right for centuries. I assume it's centuries. I can't be sure about that. But certainly in our lifetime, it's always been there. And as I understand it, Nick, and you can put me right if I'm wrong, you can demand a jury trial in this country if you think that that's the best way to proceed. Is that right? For
most offences, yes.
Okay, so a right to be judged by 12 men and women, our peers. But David Lammy wants to abolish it because there's a backlog, because of that.
David Lammy, first of all, he's a good example of a DEI hire. He's only where he is because he's a black man. That's the only reason why he is where he is.
That's quite controversial.
No, I
don't get banned for that.
Well, they can try, but I've got a big mouth, so they can try. He's also a good example of one-dimensional thinking. I have a problem. There's a backlog in the courts. Let's get rid of jury trials. That'll speed up the courts and we can get rid of this backlog. On the face of it, if you think one-dimensionally, that sounds like a fairly good answer to a problem. But if you start looking behind the scenes, you have to say to yourself, why do we have a jury system? And is it any good? And the answer is the jury system is the best form of justice we've ever created in the world. It's not perfect, and maybe it can be improved. But someone like David Lammy hasn't got the intelligence or the experience to improve it. So rather than letting him destroy the best thing we've ever invented in the criminal justice system, to be judged by 12 of your peers, He wants to clear the backlog. He's a bureaucrat. He's one of those middle managers again.
But hold on a second. He's also a graduate from Harvard. And some say that means he's qualified. I say that actually undermines the reputation of Harvard. But other people say that means he's quite well qualified. Why do you say that David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister, a man so good, actual giant, Keir Starmer, chose to appoint him as Deputy Prime Minister, a man that good can't make this kind of decision?
Can I refer you to a program called Mastermind? We've discussed this before. So evidence one, evidence one, Your Honor, is this tape of Mastermind, where he said a famous blue cheese is called Red Leicester, and where he said the king who came after Henry VIII was Henry VII, and so that's that's level of the man. But
you also missed the rather more subtle one, that the surname of the Pierre and Marie, who won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for radioactive research, was Antoinette. Now, it was Curie, of course. But that would assume, for him to say that means not only did he think that Marie Antoinette was born in 1903, but that she was married to a Pierre Antoinette. This guy's in charge of our justice system.
To be fair,
please, Nick.
That question is slightly harder than the other two examples. So if it was just that one, I'd forgive him. But it's the other two. It's not understanding colours, and it's not understanding numbers.
Cheese.
I
mean, blue cheese is not Red Leicester.
Absolutely.
Henry VII could not have come after Henry VIII. He could have guessed anything. He could have said Edward II, Queen Elizabeth I, but Henry VII. Okay, so this man is currently in charge of our justice system, and he wants to do away with jury trials.
He does, because I don't want to attack the man any more than I've already done now. So let's look at what he's trying to do. He's trying to lower the queues to get into court. I get that. They're far too high, inherited from the Tory party. I get that. But doing this will damage justice in this country. Justice is hanging in this country by a thread because of our two-tier system. The fact that we have no trust in the police, we have no trust in judges, we have no trust in the prison service. The whole criminal justice system is hanging by a thread. If he cuts this last thread, which is to be able to appeal to 12 men or women to say, I want you to judge me because yous are just average people in the community. I don't trust politicians. I don't trust the judges. I don't trust any of those people. I'm going to put my faith in 12 average people. If he breaks that bond that we've had for hundreds of years, then that could be the end of our criminal justice system.
But that's exactly what he wants to do. There's a headline: Lammy to scrap jury trials and backlog crackdown. Now he says, look at us. Okay, I don't want to get too personal, but he always looks so smug. And maybe I look like that. Maybe viewers think that I look smugger than you do, if that's possible. MBE-ness. But the thing is, this man wants to get rid of something which, to me, seems to be like a fundamental human right, to be judged by your peers. Maybe it's just because I grew up here, I've been born and bred in Northern Ireland, and live in UK culture. But when you take away the right of a person to be judged by essentially your peers, what are you doing to our justice system? You're fundamentally changing it. I'll go further than that, Nick. I'd actually say that for him to meddle with the right to jury trial is essentially treason. I think that it's actually, I think what he's doing is a criminal offense. He's got no constitutional authority, whatever, to do what he's suggesting.
I don't think this will go through. I think this will be another failed idea from Labour, and there's probably a reason for that I'll get into in a minute. But it's him. First of all, he doesn't I don't think he really classes himself as British. He said many times he's a Caribbean. He said it in Parliament.
Really?
So, yep. He stood up in Parliament and says, as a Caribbean man. So he's got mixed loyalties at best.
Well, I could say I'm an Estonian man because my parents are both Estonian. What's the difference?
There is an issue with people. Do you call yourself an Estonian man?
Well, I'm in Estonia always.
There's an issue with children of immigrants in this country that we're not integrating them, that they still have far too much pull. Probably a discussion for another day. I think it'd be a good discussion, that one. But so he doesn't understand. He's got mixed loyalties, and he's thinking about, because he's a middle manager. That's all he is. And he's thinking about British tradition. He wants the British, meaning white people. He wants them to pay reparations for the crimes his ancestors committed by enslaving Black Africans. It was Black Africans who enslaved Black Africans. It wasn't white Europeans who did that. Absolutely. It was Black Africans who enslaved Black Africans. White Europeans turned up in ships and bought black slaves on black slave markets. So we didn't enslave anybody. We just bought. All this is wrong, by the way, as in morally wrong. I'm not saying that, nothing was wrong here. I'm just saying Black Africans enslaved Black Africans. We didn't do it. So he's got issues with our history, our heritage, our tradition anyway. And basically, he doesn't care. But it's more than that. He doesn't understand what he's doing. That's the core of this. He doesn't understand the importance. He also, well, that's great. Get rid of juries. That means we only need judges. Who appoints the judges? Who influences the judges? Who can sack judges? It gives any government and government's power over our criminal justice system.
Right. Well, now we're getting to the heart of it. My concern here is there's a whole David Lammy conversation to be had there. And actually, one day, you and I can talk about what's the difference between David Lammy and me, apart from skin color, because I'm 100% Estonian by descent. And English is my second language. I actually learned Estonian first, but that's a whole different story. The question I want to ask you is, when it comes to, and whether he's entitled or not, we can talk about that. Let's assume that David Lammy was 100% British. There's no ethnic question here. If 100% British person was proposing this, would you still oppose it? The abolition of jury trials for many trials?
I would oppose it no matter who proposed it. Not because of the current government, even though they're incompetent and pathetic. I'm not worried too much about this government abusing the fact they can control the judges. Could try to control the judges, but they're that pathetic and incompetent. I'm always worried about a year from now, 4 governments from now, 2 decades, what's coming down the line that we don't see. And suddenly we go, they've got control over the judges. We never saw that coming 20, 30 years ago when we got rid of jury trials, did we? We didn't see this coming. We should always be looking ahead of the worst possible government that can get in, and what can they do with the powers that we've now given them. That's the government I'm worried about. That's what we always should be thinking about.
Okay, I want to come back to this in a minute. Time flies when you're having fun. There's a phrase. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. Okay, right. Maybe it's the wrong time of day to make that joke to the man who seems to be absolutely determined to ruin our credibility. Ukraine Security Service arrests 5 people accused of 40 million. We go on about justice and law and order here, but we shovel billions and billions of law and order here. But we shovel billions and billions of pounds to Volodymyr Zelensky, who week after week is. Why should we trust a Labour government and I have to say the Conservatives before them, that's willing to shovel tons of money into what I think is a broken state, and certainly one which is losing its war, namely Ukraine. Why should we trust them to get our justice system right?
We shouldn't. And to be fair, we shouldn't trust any government to get our criminal justice system right. We have to, and that's what we've been really poor at over the last 50 years, is citizens, voters, me and you, have not been good enough holding our politicians to account. We've just given them all the powers and we've gone, and I'm going to watch Gladiators and go for a run and go to the pub. And I'll let you do everything. I'll just trust you to do everything in the best interest of me. And we've been fools for doing that. We need to be better citizens. We need to hold these governments to account more, and we don't. Hence why the mess we're in.
Funny enough, I actually watched Gladiator again, and there was a certain amount of rough justice in it. It's a great film. A little bit of biographical insight here. I think I was in the island of Kos with my then partner, and we watched Gladiator in an open air cinema, and he was going on, I am whatever it is from the north, from the general from the east. And it was like, it's so beautiful. It's like it's real. And then you're just rooting for the gladiator all the way through. This is an irresponsible aside. That was justice, though, wasn't it?
It was. And he played the classic hero. That's why he had to die at the end. Because
you've spoiled it for everyone now.
Everybody knows the story of Gladiators. Half the people watching this weren't even born when it came out.
So you probably ruined it for a generation.
Yeah.
Okay, retrospectively, spoiler alert. If you're watching this backwards, then would they lose spoils?
Yeah. But does he die because they make Gladiator 2? Confused now, aren't you?
I am confused. I haven't seen Gladiator 2. Nothing could go upstage the original one because there's a lot. It's illogical. There's a non sequitur. See what I did there?
Yeah.
With Gladiator 2. Returning to our justice system. You got the man at the top there of the justice system wanting to do away with jury trials. Well, we seem to sponsor the wholesale killing of people in wars abroad without any real due diligence. And also we got people like Lucy Connolly, who I've just remembered, spent a long time in prison for hurty words on the internet.
Yeah.
Are you in any way confident that I don't think she was tried by a jury? She was intimidated.
She pleaded guilty.
Yeah.
That was her problem. She was badly advised by her counsel.
I met somebody who we actually had somebody on one of our shows who was encouraged to plead guilty, and he refused to, and he was cleared. We spent 17 days behind bars. I think that was on Claire Dyer's show, actually, Dire Consequences, I think. Apologies if that's wrong. I can't watch everything. He was told, plead guilty, or it could be even worse. He said, I'm not pleading guilty, or it could be even worse. He said, I'm not pleading guilty. I've done nothing wrong. And of course, he was cleared. But it ruined a couple of weeks of his life.
Yeah. And do you remember the Labour councillor, Ricky Jones, who was going slit? He pleaded not guilty and was found not guilty and rightly so. Had been prosecuted, but he didn't plead guilty, so he got better advice.
And also the reason that was annoying for people was because he actually said kill people. Lucy Connolly didn't go that far.
Lucy Connolly said she doesn't care if other people burn down migrant hotels. If they do that, I don't care.
And then 4 hours later, she retracted the comment.
Yeah.
She took it down. Meanwhile, Ricky Jones literally said something like, we should slit their throats, get rid of them all, something like that.
Yeah, he did.
Now, with a jury, I would imagine that Lucy Connolly would be far more likely to be found innocent than Ricky Jones.
Yeah.
But Lucy Connolly said something quite interesting about this, and I saw her say this live. She was asked, should Ricky Jones have gone to prison? She said, he said idiotic things, and he shouldn't have gone to prison, and nor should I. And I tend to agree with that, because I don't think any actual violent acts occurred. Nobody was harmed because of their stupid comments.
No, so they keep using something called incitement to violence. Now, the threshold for incitement to violence should be high. That should be me saying, right, so on social media, right, everybody, meet at this place at this time, bring your knives, bring your baseball bats, and if you see any Jehovah's Witnesses, beat them to death. That's incitement to violence. Everything else is either a joke, exaggeration. So Ricky Jones, not in a million years did Ricky Jones actually want people to go slit their throats. He didn't. So therefore, that never reached, in my eyes, the threshold for incitement to violence.
There are some cases which have caused raised eyebrows. Hugh Edwards, the highest paid news presenter on the BBC, he was found guilty of having pornography of the most violent type.
Yeah, of children.
Class A, with 7-year-old, I believe it was 7-year-old being raped. I think that's what it was. Let's not beat around the bush here. Yeah. And he had a suspended sentence.
Yeah,
he got away with it. Whereas Lucy Connolly, and he I think it was a magistrate who decided that. Lucy Connolly was in prison for 30 words. Would you really trust a non-jury situation?
Exactly. That's why we need the jury system. And for people like Hugh Edwards, and people are going, he didn't do anything. He just looked at so-called child porn online. But let me say this to those people: if people like Hugh Edwards wouldn't look at it and buy it, then the criminals wouldn't abuse children to make it. So the people who are using it and looking at it, in my eyes, are just as guilty as the people who are hurting these children in the first place.
Well, they're creating the market, aren't they?
Yes, Nick? They are.
There's a huge theological conversation to be had about whether, if you can AI generate this stuff, whether it should be a crime or not, if there aren't any actual human victims. But that's for another time. Yeah. That's for another time. Let's not go down that path now.
That's a good point. That I must think about that one.
Yeah, and it's a huge discussion. I mean, basically, if it stopped the abuse of actual children, then there might be a case for it. But that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. Let's not go down that path now, because the other side of it is to say, if you get used to seeing those images on screen, then you might want to actually act out as well. But here's the other side of it. You can get runaway juries which are gerrymandered. There's a film called, there it is, in fact, Runaway Jury. Actually, it's a great film, I have to say. Some great actors there. Dustin Hoffman in the middle there, Gene Hackman, and Norton at the front. They're all very good. And the argument is you can nobble a jury. What do you say to that?
Anything can be done, but this is an American film with the American system. So the American system is, you've got like 50 people to choose from the jury, and the defense and the prosecution who are picking the jury members, Our system is different. Ours is, I'm not sure how it works. I've never been a juror, but I know it's the judge, it's the court system that picks 12 people, and that's it then. So no system's perfect. Everything can be abused. But as I said at the beginning, our system of 12 individuals looking for justice over your case is the best system we've come up with yet. Not perfect, and maybe in the future we'll come up with a better system. But at this moment in time, it's the best system we've got.
But it goes wrong. Some people get, let out because they make an emotional plea to the jury.
Yep. And that's part of our system, as in it's not perfect. Now, if you compare our system making mistakes, and then you compare it to just judges who are basically political appointees, who are given direction from politicians, from legislation, from rule books, it's like, and I know which one I would want to take my chances with. Doesn't mean 100% you're going to get the right decision, but I feel we'd get better decisions and more right decisions and less wrong decisions with the jury system.
It is a board jury, artist impression. How do you know they care enough? How do you know that the jurors? I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not going to pretend. I don't believe this myself. I actually think that juries are a good way of doing it. I think most people on juries are really honest. But let me put the case. How do you know that those juries can't be nobbled, as in the film Runaway Jury?
Oh, I'm sure they can. In extreme cases, I'm sure. Because don't forget, you don't have to bribe all 12 of them. You know, sometimes all you've got to do is get one or two can push everybody else in the same direction, or you don't get a unanimous decision. So these things have probably happened in the past. Now, what we need to do is improve that system, not throw that system out and replace it with bureaucrats, replace it with hired guns from the state. So no system's perfect.
Finally, then, your view of David Lammy, a fantastically successful politician. He's got to be Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, one of the G8 countries, a country which is sinking in the international reputational stakes, I think. But he is, nevertheless, the number 2, technically, to Keir Starmer, that, as I say, political giant, coalition of the witless, the willing, and everything else. Do you think that he is a man who's going to leave his mark by changing our justice system for the better? There's an artist's impression, by the way.
Right. Let me.
That's not what he looks like. That's satire, Ofcom. That's satire, making a joke there. But carry on.
I felt that was a bit racist.
No, it's elitist. If I had such good food, I'd probably do the same thing. I'm just looking at it.
No,
it's elitist.
I round up David Lammy like this. It's the first time ever I wanted a sitting prime minister to have a fatal accident, because I think David Lammy would step in Keir Starmer's shoes and most of our problems would disappear within days. He's that level of politician. He's pure quality problems because he is the savior. He is our savior. He's the man. He's our savior. He's the man. He's the man from Del Monte. He's going to say yes.
This is brilliant. Sierra Leone, I think, when he was talking, David Lammy was making a speech.
Yeah.
They thought that was David Lammy. And then they go, we actually meant this guy. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like, dear, awkward. Yeah, weird, awkward.
Before we go, let me give you a bit of a conspiracy theory, what I think is also going on. So I don't think the Labour Party think for one moment they're getting rid of jury trials. I don't think they're that stupid that they think that's going to happen. Not a chance in hell is that going to happen. So why are they doing it then, Nick? Why are they doing it? I think it's this. I think they're trying to control the negative press they get. They know they're going to get negative press. So therefore, they're trying to control the narrative. We've just had the budget, one of the worst budgets ever. The budget could bring down the Chancellor. The head of the OBR has just resigned. Now, this is like nightmare scenario. So what do the Labour government do? They announce such a crazy policy that everybody now is going on about jury trials. The press, the media, everyone online, and David Lammy's taking all the flack for it. So not Rachel Reeves, not the Prime Minister. He's taking the flack for it. This is called distraction techniques. This is what you do when you're in trouble and you want the public, you want other people to look in a certain direction so they're not looking at the really important mistakes you're making. They want you to look at the fluff. They want you to look at the jingly keys. Look at the keys, look at the keys, look at the jingly keys. And I think this is just distraction technique.
So you don't think they're actually going to get rid of jury trials?
No.
I don't think they can.
I think they want to. They want me and you talking about it, so we're not talking about it, so we're not talking about Rachel Reeves.
Well, you've opened an entire Pandora's box there. I have to say that if I honestly feel this, if David Lammy succeeds in trying to push this forward, he should be stopped and tried for treason, because I think it's actually an offence against the fundamental values of the United Kingdom to take away the right to trial by jury.
Yep, I completely agree. I don't know this to be true, but it wouldn't surprise me after this show if I Google it that being judged by your peers is in the Magna Carta. That wouldn't surprise me. I know it's that old.
You can tell us next time. Thank you very
Yes.
much indeed, Nick Buckley. And I don't want to promote the competition, but where can we see your podcast apart from here?
Find me on YouTube. Find me everywhere you can get podcasts, especially YouTube, and all my handles on all social media is the same. Nick Buckley MBE, all one word.
Suddenly, there's a reason to get an MBE. That is Nick Buckley, MBE. We're going to try and get his stuff onto Unprecedented too. Oh, the time. That's the problem. The time, shortage of it. Hope you found that interesting. Give us your views as well. What do you think?